The Hanstholm fortifications consists of 4 38-centimeter cannons deployed to defend against passage through the German minefield Skagerrak opposite Norway, where an identical battery exists. The cannons are identical to those mounted on the Bismarck and Tirpitz, with a firing capacity of 600-kilogram grenades at a range of 55 kilometers. The cannons were installed inside a huge 650-ton armored towers contained within 4 concrete bunkers of 3,000 square meters each. The fortifications were extensive, with barracks, workshops, and many other buildings to support the battery. Besides the 4 large cannons, there were close fighting positions and concrete ammunition depots, all connected by a railway. The cannon battery was manned by 600 German soldiers. In addition to this, there were 4 older naval cannons and casemates and a large number of 10-centimeter and other AA guns. The whole area became a Sperrgebiet, a security zone, and the locals were paid to leave, not really that optional. Many of their houses became temporary housing for German officers. However, many of them cracked due to the air pressure when firing the enormous cannons. Some of the bunkers were disguised as local farmhouses. Today, one of the large casemates have been turned into a museum. But my main reason for visiting today is all those other large and small bunkers that are hiding in the terrain. I want to see if I can get into some of those that have been covered up, especially the large ammunition storage and some of the covered up casemates for the large guns. The bunkers were built by Danish contract labor, and construction began almost immediately after the Germans occupied the country. They had already planned out where they were going to set up what. Let's go have a look. Why, in the name of Bonaparte's balls, are they lying in here? There's no way this is... Holy shit, it's open. Some on the donkey. Now, up here on the west coast of Denmark, 2-3 years after the east wall was being built, we're still finding the steel domes that we've seen so many places by now. Close defensive position. Behind is the coastline. Now, it's not quite as big as what we saw in the east. A little bit bigger than what we saw in France. 30 centimeters. Could be a little more. It's not going to turn. Plenty of firing ports. I'd like to know more details on this, since this was built sometime after the east wall, and I'm imagining there's no way of getting in there since there's a lot of cattle here. And yeah, this is where the rear entrance would have been to the dome, that way. It's nice to see one that's undamaged and not blown up or cut into pieces. So here is one, and in case you want to have a look at it and ask the farmer if you can excavate it, it is right here next to the lighthouse. Good looking German steel dome. A certain Norwegian history hunter have found one around here that he was inside. Guess I'm gonna go up there, have to buy him some beers, ride some Harleys. Maybe he'll tell me where. Although the entire area was a Sperrgebiet and all of Hanstholm was occupied, the whole area is littered with bunkers, but it is in 2 separate locations that I suggest you go visit. I'm going to the one closest to the museum now. The German 10.5 centimeter flak, 15,000 meter range, projectiles about 15 kilos, both anti-shipping, anti-aircraft, multi-purpose weaponry. First thing you see as you get into the fort here. Now up here behind me is the beautiful, shiny, new, wonderful exhibit of the Hanstholm Bunker Museum. And it is, it's beautiful, it's shiny, it's new, built in one of the main cannon positions. However, they built 2 more cannon positions and the ammunition train that still runs through the ammunition bunker. What I really wanted to see is one of the unrestored cannon positions that I never got to see last I was here, and I would like to take a peek inside the ammunition bunker, and that's why we are here remember the huge battery, sister battery in Norway. We're gonna go take a peek at that. The Germans completely occupied this territory. And here, what is here? Here is a mortar position. Well, I mean, if they put a mortar position right on our way, the least thing we can do is go take a look at it. Well, obviously mortars will be for close defense or defense of the beach. And they're very nice to provide light, so, yep. I am guessing this will be must have been a regular loaded mortar, not an automatic in any way. There's some indication that the mortars were never delivered to these locations, but given the size of the space, I'm thinking a small 50mm mortar would have been in place, or should have been. And that's what it looks like. It's broken. I don't. So here's the Tobruk right next to the mortar position. Obviously all the greenery would have been gone around here, so there would have been a field of fire. But this ring, unless they stuck it in post-war, it looks like the original ring, but they put on these, welded this on for safety, I guess. Why do I always sound disappointed when somebody says safety? Liability. Well, you know me, so horseshit. Alright, small room for ammunition storage. This is a very small position with a mortar, close defense, and absolutely no frills whatsoever. Not as big as what I was looking for, but I'm kind of glad it's there. I feel bad I missed it. Let's see, what else is here? Here's another staircase. This is another mortar position. Well, I don't know what to tell you, it's here. I mean, I would feel bad. Somebody built it, and the people who built it are probably Danish workers. So, let's have a look. Yep, exactly the same setup. Munitions, mortars, and an MG close position. Do note the red brick. Now, of course, this could also have been reconstructed after the war, after some demolition, or it does look pretty damn authentic though. It does look like there are actually bricks, red bricks, involved in, and there's the ring. What's left of it? That's actually really cool. Huh. Alright, still, we're looking for something bigger. 8cm mortars with a Tobruk here from a different point of view. Obviously the cage is put in post-war for safety. Huh, interesting little walk in the woods here. Mortar positions in there, coming out to this observation bunker. So it'd be, this would command the 38cm battery if it had to, if the main control, fire control, was put out of commission. It was built at some point after 42. Take a look at it. So, of course, big or small, everything would be camouflaged to blend in. Be firing pretty much right over his head. But again, you can feel the fire. Let's see what's going on here. You had smaller slip down here, and then you have bigger up here. This was built at some point in time, around 1942. So again, you had a good field of vision here. I will also say this is not as armored. This is not as heavy constructed. This is not constructed as heavily as some of the others. I will say this, I would not want to be in here for an engagement in case they saw life in here, because thinner walls, a little more flimsy, very open, not really protected at all. Sure, it's thick and it's reinforced. It looks like Baustacker 1, not even a meter on the roof. Not sitting in there on the fire, telling you that. Now I will be nice and respect this sign that says I can't go there. Oddly how quickly I picked up on the language, because this is the rail for the ammunition train that would run between the ammunition bunker and the main positions. And it is still running with tourists today. So, out of the chance of being run over by a very slow moving, slow train, I'm not going to go there. The narrow gauge ammunition train ran between the 4 main casemates and several smaller ammunition bunkers, where all ammunitions and projectiles were stored. It turns out I'm standing on one of the outer edges of one of the 38 centimeter gun emplacements, and several of these smaller observation bunkers or observation posts are placed near these forts. I am thinking it could be for close observation of fall of shot within the battery, but I haven't got that confirmed yet. Thing again, we'll take a look. Red brick construction in here. A lot of red brick built into these. You have to remember, a lot of these bunkers here were built under contract with Danish workers, Danish companies, paid for by the Danish government. Well, they had to pay to be protected by the German occupying force against the evil invading British. So all these bunkers were built. So all these bunkers were built by Danish labor. Danish labor went to Norway to build, and they actually got paid better than regular Danish jobs, which was a problem because they'd rather work here. Now, here is the Unrestored Cannon Pit. This is one of the main cannon pits that I wanted to visit last time. The one that's not restored, nothing has been done to it. In Norway, the cannon is still in place in one of these, but we'll see that in a few days. I always wanted to go dig through the dark, wet dank of this one. Now it's the time. We'll fix that eventuality right now. Love the museum that's nicely, neatly laid out, but I love more the unknown, unexcavated, uncleaned up part. All German bunkers have close protection, even this huge cannon pit. Obviously, there'd always be close protection in these places, but not to the degree where you expect a fight. Because honestly, if the enemy's gotten this close to get here, you screwed up on so many other levels before that. Day, darkness, blue, wet floors, nasty bats, mosquitoes. What the hell is wrong with me? Okay, so now they had a gas room where you would sanitize the shower, which is clearly not in here. Can't have storage, right? Okay, so this, from the judging of the tile on the floor, would be, well, I was going to say shower room, but with the platforms could also be generators. It's kind of hard to tell. This is, I really would think this would be a generator room. But again, the generator room was bigger and it was not here. Okay. Anyway. Of course, everything was pulled off the walls. And these cannons were not actually installed. Well, let's see. What is down another dark and wet hallway. Not in the rooms. One of the rooms. doors. Still sitting there with a little rubber on the corners. Alright, here's a steel door hanging. In the main bunker, it was easy for us to give an idea what all these places were. At least that's been restored. This is kind of fun. Another one of the doors. And we are starting to circle the gun pit. All the rooms. And he had all the wood on the walls for the beds where the crew would have stayed. So a bit of green and black, yellow. Trying to distinguish the colors. Oh, there's another outside entrance. We're not going outside. But here is so the post defensive position. I'm sorry if I flicker with the light a little bit, but sometimes I have to see where I'm going because we all know from Lower Silesia there's always a hole somewhere. And I'll be damned if I'm going to get trapped in the hole down here. Okay, so here we have a whole bit of writing. 19-220. Alright, cool. So is this again a tile? This must be to the bathroom. This is the bathroom. Yeah, I remember this layout from the bigger. This is the bathroom, the shower rooms. I wish somebody pulled all this tile off the line. Museums are very good. This is so much more fun because you don't really know what's been done in here, what's been restored. Obviously nothing of military importance has been left here, but you have the authentic walls, and I was going to say the authentic writing on the wall, but there's the emergency exit. This enormous place still had emergency exits. Of course, it was bricked up. There were hundreds of men in here. I wonder how many emergency exits they had. Still very, very cool. And you see all the wood here on the walls, still preserved. And der Bunker hatte eine Besatzung von insgesamt 90 Mann, der alle ihre Kojen am Bunker hatte. Und diesen Raum gibt Platz für 15 Mann. In this bunker, there was 19 people stationed, and 15 of them slept in this room. And I think it's really cool that somebody actually put up that sign. There's a sign here. I guess there's been people here then. And I know but, yep, we'll just do. We'll see it in the bigger restored bunker. It's easy to see. Coming up to the gun pit here. And here again for wood on walls for the bunks. There's another one of the steel doors, room number 15. There would be something on the walls in here for the echo. As you can see, there's wood embedded in all the walls. And some of them are the piping still here. Yeah, interesting. So it would have been absolutely so horrible to have been with an echo like this, just an everyday working environment. So we come back outside. And this is, I believe, where the could have been where the shower, could have been the chemical cleanse. It could have been. All right. Here we are outside in the bed, and of course Here's close protection. Understand, it's wartime. It was something this big and expensive. You want as much security as you can. But needing close protection within the gun ring. I'm just saying, if the enemy got this far, your problems is of a magnitude bigger than what you can fix with a machine gun. So, here we go. This is the main pit where the gun would have gone. Still part of the gun rail. Now there's, let's see if any of the gun elevators are still here, because that will be exceedingly cool. Here are the doors where the ammunition would come out of. Guess what? Here's an open door. Again, for close protection. Ooh. Okay. Yeah, this is very, very cool. This is very cool. Oops. Here you have the ammunition rail. And here you have the bench where the ammunition would be loaded onto. Projectiles will put there, rolled out, and onto the gun. This is very, very cool. This is very cool. I cannot tell if that is original or post-war. I don't see any reason why it could be post-war. Here, we go more. The other ammunition room, and the rail is still in place, which is why you know that I always look for rails in the roof. This has been bricked up. Oh, why did I do that? I want to pick it up. And here, behind this door, ooh, behind this door is the rail. Here's the rail, and there's the ammunition train that's coming through here. Yep. So why don't we just duck in here for a minute? Well, it doesn't say I can't go here, so. This is the ammunition trail, right? For some reason, during my exploration of Hanstholm, I will be playing tag again and again with the munitions train. Don't know why, but I'm having fun with it, so just indulge me. Here's the inner as well. This is where the ammunition would have come out. Here are a couple of the doors laying on the ground again. And here is the ammunition rail. Damn, that train's loud for a small little wanker like that. More doors. Dynamic loaded. Follow the gun pit around, and what is that? And there's a plastic tube. I'm guessing somebody tried to make it look like something. So here's the other door that's still in place. First door in there was missing entirely. Here's some of the actual inner workings of how this thing. That's very interesting. I would bet dime to a donut that that could be made to work again. I really do think it should. See, this is very, very... Here are all... Holy donkey. Here are a lot of little ports hiding around. Your fire reports send them. Why, in the name of Bonaparte's balls, are they lying in here when they could be restored somewhere, but they are not? At least they're inside, not outside, rusting. They're just inside rusting, much better. As you can clearly, speaking of rusting, we're going to go back out into the gun pit with the door missing. And speaking of rust, wow, 75 years, and that's kind of what you get. And I understand not everything can be turned into a museum piece, but to see these lie here and rust into bits, it's just sad, because somewhere maybe a museum could use them. So, now I'm going. The gun pit. Here's the wall that's bricked off where we originally came in. Somebody couldn't be bothered all the way, walking all the way. However, we can't. And not only that, we're going to go out a different way that we came in and see if we can find the ammunition bunker. Maybe we can catch the train again with the next load of tourists. Oopsie daisy. Why am I turning my lights off? Have you people not yelled at me enough for accidentally going to dark places without a light before? Have we not had that conversation? We didn't have this conversation. Again, a platform usually tells me that there's a piece of machinery on it. And a pipe. Cabling. Might be hard to tell with the lighting and the camera. It is dark in here, and I don't think I have night vision on this thing. However, this was very cool. Very happy I finally got to do that walkthrough. That was nice. The last time I was here, I did not really have time to see the area because my mom was sick. Yeah, still miss you, Mom. It must have been terrible to have lived here and then been evacuated when the whole area became a Sperrgebiet for the German army. Placing a fortification and firing position at elevated overlooking the ocean is a great strategic decision. And then I saw something that you see way too often going through these places. A little buried steel dome. Usually I find a little Tobruk or a smaller bunker that's been covered. Had no idea this was here. It's on somebody's private property. And I must say, if I had a steel dome, I know there's something attached deep underneath. This is probably for a periscope, so I'm looking at least a floor and a half underground. I would have dug it out and enjoyed it and put it in the wine cellar. A position of some size, there's no way I would have that summer house and this property and not dig out that bunker, find out what's it. I guess it's time to set up a GoFundMe so we can raise some money, buy the summer house and the steel dome bunker, and dig it out. Now this is interesting because we've seen tracks like this lead down to bunkers, usually for road defenses
you put down a howitzer in the bunker and you wheel it up when you need it, although this is a bit of a trek. This is quite a bit of a way to wheel anything. This was for the mobile searchlights. The searchlights would be stored down here, either under day attacks and then wheeled out here at night, which is actually very cool. So the searchlight would live in here in the daytime. Okay, a searchlight bunker. Again, close defense. Another close defense. That sucks das. Spatwurfstoffe. Interesting. Don't see any writing on the wall. Damn it. Alright. But here are the bunks. A little bit different. These mountains. But no, this is where the beds would have been installed. And you go further in here, that's all you have here is the other port for close defense. So they will sleep in here next to the searchlight. That would sit here and then be wheeled out when needed. I'm a little curious about this. At Ibedemal, we saw big light holes this big that was for lighting. This arcs up, so it's not for lighting. It's not for ventilation. Well, it could be for ventilation, but not entirely sure what that large hole is. I wonder if this is remnants of the original camouflage pattern. It could be. Could be. Yeah, that's it. Huh. Very neat. Very neat. That's very neat. Well reinforced. Oh, this looks like wood. Coming down there, it could just been stuck down there. Don't know why. There'd been something protruding. There would probably been a gate or a door. Oh, I see no hinges, so probably not. I don't see any hinges for doors or gates. But that large hole there, I'm a little intrigued by. Not something I see very often. And then they would wheel up the searchlight up to all the way up topside. Very cool little detail. Not at all like Point the Hawk, but it's still a slope that will be quite easily defendable. And this whole area had been turned into a mini fortress, sort of like Ibedemal, except more running trenches between the bunkers than actual underground tunnels. Not really many of those. And if we go this way, we should get to the ammunition bunker, the main one that I really want to see. I want to see it so I can show it to you. How about that? But a lot of these walkways, passageways were in between the various positions, and here we have a Regelbau 668 that we know so well. Crew bunker. Two entrances. One goes up here, up to a little brook that has been sealed. But yep, here's a little walk here for immediate defense of the Mannschaftbunker. And you come into it, not really any defensive. Simplest of Regelbau with an emergency exit. One room, no frills. But at least the crew would be in bunkers close to their fighting positions, which made absolutely sense. Little tank obstacles, and here's the rail. And here's a very, very cool little feature. Certainly this would be well camouflaged from above. I'm imagining we need to follow the rails this way, and considering the train runs slightly slower than a lame tortoise, I'm fairly certain I will make it out of its way before it comes thundering at me with 0.3 miles an hour. See where it takes us though. Very well camouflaged. This is very, very well camouflaged from the air. Although if you analyze your air reconnaissance photos well enough, you'll see just a little track here and there, little pieces of track, and you'll know it leads somewhere, and you'll bomb the places even though you can't see them because you know they're there. So this is the entrance to the ammunition bunker, and somebody's walking in there. To me, that means I can too. Still has sun in it. The weatherproofing is still in fairly good shape, actually. So this is where it would come in to get loaded up with ammunition. First close to fence position. This is the canopy positions. And now we're getting rail. Very cool. It's very cool to see this. And you have a rail in the roof because the projectiles are really, really heavy. So they would have to be loaded out. Very neat. And this was right the other munition storage for the projectiles. So this would lead me to think there's something underground, except the foot of water I'm standing in. And there's the other entrance exit. And this is probably a different room. This is another room, and you see the whole rail system, where the rail will take the projectiles onto the trolley carts. From in here, there'll be a crane, and they'll load the projectiles onto the rail, onto little carts, and take them on, which these were very, very heavy. So over each entrance, there's another rail for a crane. Just probably a little pulley system. And of course, like I said, there's an underneath. As we all know, wherever I go, there's always stairs. Oh, I've seen worse. There's a nice temperature for red wine down here. And here is a slightly smaller gauge beam for more munitions. I'll keep these rooms on. It's kind of hard for you guys to tell. There's a little high to light up a completely darkened room, sorry. So that's where the pipe upstairs comes from. So air, I would imagine humidity for the powder would be an issue. So air filtration would be one of the issues that needed to be constantly addressed and monitored. And here's another room, and you see there are rails. And this is very interesting. This is the splitter for the rails. You'd pull that in for when you need to direct the munitions out, or your little pulley system in here. That's very neat. That's very cool that's still here. That's very neat. And then the ammunition would come through the door, be pulled out. Since we are one stair flight below, and here's another pulley system. So we have a pulley system between these rooms down here. But how would you get the ammunition upstairs or downstairs? This is just a storage room. You have these two rooms. So you could flip the munition from here to there and there to here. But how would you get it upstairs? Here's another part of the air filtration system, definitely. But once again, what would you do with the ammunition? You're not going to carry it up the stairs. Oh, son of a dog, here's the training in. I think. Yep, here's the training in. Place about this area, it's completely open. You walk through, there's no access, don't go here, don't do this. You mill about as you want to, and that's the cool part. So I really don't know why I'll keep hiding from the damn train. But here it is. Downstairs, up here. You had a room in here that's locked off. How dare they? What did that say? Contents. Well, yeah. Okay, this has nothing to do with this has nothing to do with the war. It is a workstation for what they're doing today, which is absolutely acceptable considering they're working this hard to keep history alive. And I'm guessing close defensive position. Yep. So this is the ammunition bunker. Very glad I got to see that. This is very cool. And had about 1,000 rounds of 38 centimeter ammunition in 4-story bolt bunkers like this, with the walls about almost 4 meters thick. And just like I said, there was the heating ventilation system underneath to ensure the climate control for the powder. The powder was kept down below so it could be easier carried up the stairs, and the heavy shells upstairs, which explains all the rail links and railroads. Now let's go have a look at the actual museum that we've seen, all the surroundings, except for one thing, but we will get to that. The one they covered up. Bastards.
As early as April 12, 1940, just 1 week after the invasion of Denmark, did German Navy engineers start building here. Eventually, over 50 concrete bunkers were constructed in this small area of Hanstholm. These 4 38-centimeter cannon installations were the main armament of the fort. The barrels were 19 meters long. They weighed 110 tons. They were ship guns of the Tirpitz Bismarck class. They're delivered here with no turret. Instead, a lightly armored turret was constructed around them of just 5 centimeters of armor. As opposed to, had the same gun been on a ship, it would have been 36 centimeters thick. Model year 1934, 38 centimeter SKC-34. They had a 55,000 meter range. The shells would weigh between 495 to 800 kilograms. The muzzle velocity was 1,050 meters a second. The firing rate was about 1 shot per 90 seconds. The 38 centimeter guns were installed in the summer of 1941, where after a 2-story fire control bunker was built next to them, next to this cannon pit. From time to time, practice firings would take place using a narrower practice barrel, which were placed inside the large gun barrel and took a 12.7 centimeter shell. The procedure was for saving the highly expensive main gun barrels, which was subject to wear every time they were fired. The inner lining of the barrels had to be renewed after approximately 286 shots. Tens of thousands of sea mines was thrown throughout the oceans to block the different passages. The same thing was true here in the waters of Denmark. Interestingly enough, those mines were not really any different from the World War I mines that my great-great-grandfather worked on. Some nice 2 centimeter plaque. Nice, wonderful must have one. But quad 4. Quad 4, 2 centimeter. That we must all have one of on the balcony. Here at the museum, there's a nice collection of some of the weaponry that would have been used here, including some of the small arms and uniforms that would have been worn by the soldiers. They've also had a very nice collection of local history as it pertains to the fort and the time of the occupation, something that's definitely worth coming to see. That was one thing I missed here, the M19, the Auto mortar for the bunker defense. I've never seen one of those in one place that they want in Poland. There's far too many of these very specialized weapons and equipment and mortars and bunker periscopes that have disappeared from history.
To come see this is an amazing experience because of all the World War II architecture, of the fighting positions, of the cannons and artillery. Most of it is gone, disappeared in disarray. This restoration is amazing.
They built the museum into one of the large cannon positions. So now we're walking along the rail where there's the old munition trains, the old munition. One of the old munition trains is sitting there. This is nice lit up white walls, clean rails, and a ram stick from hell. Yeah, that's something that'll do something to you. And here's the air filtration room with a Tino, where you had all these things. And you see how large these shells really are. Ramrod keeps going. Woohoo. Don't know why I find that funny. If you're in the Navy, you see them everywhere. So, don't you just love it when people make. So here you see the rails we saw before in the main munition room, where they're all hooked up. So that was originally what we found before. And you have one of the pulley systems that will be similar to this in the munition storage. And here is another cross. So they will bring in the munition from here, from the train. Here from storage onto the loader to the gun. Obviously one of these. And then they would be put here. You see the bags of powder, the shells. And the projectile that would all be assembled out in the breech of the cannon. And as you see, the shells are pretty significant. What I mean by this shells are significant is this is of a very decent size, the 38. But it's nice to see a museum where they really took the time to restore this. A couple of the shells that honestly would be really nice tabletops for, a bar type situation. This is very nice. And we have this completely set up. All the writing in position where it's supposed to be, saying what it's supposed to be. This is a very nice detail. And here you see the clamp that you would grab. And Germans, being pragmatic people, they color coordinated the projectiles so you know exactly what it is you're loading in the gun. High explosive, armor piercing, and there's even a smoke shell. And seriously, a 38 centimeter shell will do some damage. It was a big damn projectile. And when they fired, the windows and walls were cracking and the house was left here.
And you come out into the cannon pit. You see all the different elevators for all the munition rooms. And the munition carts that will take the shell from here to the last position where it can be loaded onto another hoist and into the gun. That would be above us. Have different access ports. I mean, it was nicer cleaned up than one we found. But this is sort of where you can see where everything was. And they really did a great job restoring this place. And across the fence, and this is where we went to the darkness before. The rubber's missing on the door. But what you gonna do? A lot of smoke in here, and I was really planning on it. So you see here again the rubber is missing, the rubber seal is missing. And here's the shower at the entrance. As we came into the bathroom stalls. So at least the French at the Maginot Line had doors in their fighting force. The Germans apparently did not believe in that luxury. But when you have men living underground, it pretty much looks the same. And since we did this in a movie, yeah, that's what I thought. Before when there's an elevator position, there will be some sort of an engine or a heater or something will be sitting there. I'm wondering, certainly they painted the colors originally, which they certainly would. But this is very, very large, and it's really easy to see when it's lit up. And this is what you call a dorm. This is the closest thing to a dormitory you're going to get in the bunker for a while. But still, I would find it hard to think this is the worst place a German soldier could have spent his time during the war. It was.
Almost all of the German World War II bunkers were kept under a slight overpressure to keep out any kind of poisonous gas, and most of them also had a hand-cranked air filtration unit like this.
Machinery, weaponry, and more displays and weapons. And a very nice display on how the MG was set up in a close protective position. Another one of the original balls. You will notice there's nowhere to capture the spent ammunition like we saw in France. We'll come back into the bathroom. So these are the sinks and the shower room that we found in the non-restored bunker, and the intermediate more showers. And the tile's still missing, but typical gym shower setup. The water heaters. And if memory serves, there's a machine room in here. does. There's a machine gun. Wow. This is the ventilation room. And some of the generators and why they're lifted on pedestals. And this is a very neat detail as well. You don't see these very often. There are 2 large air pumps installed, ventilation room. A workroom. Not much different than what you actually would see in many places today, except the very, very large wrenches. And this is the engine room. Opposite of where the crew quarters are, because these would be loud as hell. But compared to the small fortress we saw in France, there's a lot less technology needed. Of course, there are only 90 people. Heavy duty. That's a big engine. See why every fort has access panels and 2 run cable in the machine. 2 various exit points on the exterior or the inside of the grave. And a firing position. This is a firing position. And of course that one leading up there to something. Yes, there's nice stuff. Fuel storage, okay. So when we were in Poland, we saw the storage tanks that were all always blown with the bunkers. These are fuel or water storage tanks. These big square metal ones, and we always find pieces of these when we go through bunkers that's been destroyed. But this is what they looked like before they were destroyed. Damn it. And of course you have heavy duty air filter in here. This is stored fuel you'd have to vent. But these are what these tanks look like, and of course they came in larger sizes and more of them. The ones we saw on the east wall were larger. And the exit, or the firing position, and out.
And when Erwin Rommel was put in charge of beefing up the Atlantic Wall, he traveled the entire length of it, and he also visited here. Here again we see one of those small observation bunkers that are next to every one of the large firing pits. They have not yet been identified, but I believe they're observation posts that are probably in contact with both fire control and the gun crews for one added set of eyes observing targets out to sea. They're all facing that direction.
There's one last thing I want to find now that I'm here. That was not what I expected that to be. Looks like a Regelbau for little MG3, Regelbau 501. Mannschaftbunker. Yep. That's just a regular little bunker that is interesting, and when it was constructed separate, which is actually weird enough that I'll have a look. This is a Tobruk. It has to be. Yep, that's a Tobruk. So, and this is, I had to debate with myself, should I put the flashlight away? Go like, no, put it away, I'll need it. So, here we go, again. So, this division tells me it was built in 2 pieces, but you cannot just build that in 1 piece as a Tobruk add-on. That's just weird. Oh, great. Oh well. Looks like remnants of original paint. I've never done this before. Well, it is. Look at the bedposts and the emergency exit. And that's it. The crew bunker. That's really strange, though. That's very strange. That. I mean, this is just straightforward, like well, no problem. But this division is. I don't understand, especially because the emergency exit leads into the wall of this, theoretically. On this is just a small added on to bulk wall. Put in a lot of work and a lot of material to protect their soldiers. But let's see if we can find the missing gun pit, the missing cannon pit that they covered. And here in the forest, we have another little machine gun position. Another little tabuk. It was everywhere. Looked like it had a couple of knocks there, but there's literally nothing to this. There's one room with the mosquitoes, mandatory inhabitants of these places, and then come up here and there's a little tabuk, whether it be a machine gun, MG34, 42, and out here's the access road into the area. And over in this direction, I am betting, is the missing third cannon pit. My hunch is we go into the woods here. Don't know why they covered it up. Could have turned it into a restaurant. I mean, have a little imagination, people. And this is the electricity bunker. This is the power plant. Well, let's go have a look. We had that conversation about flashlights earlier, didn't we? If you look at what we saw in Prussia, this is very neat, underground, very cleanly built. It's also not even necessarily newer. Damn it, no door's open. Don't you dare lock me out. Get bitchy. Oh, that's nice and muddy. Oh, what the hell. Okay, so this, of course, a lot of ventilation if they were producing electricity. And here are some of these doors that were hiding in the first fort we saw and broken on the floor. That's a shame. Holders on the walls. That's pretty big. It should be big if they're going to produce electricity in here. Okay. Must have been a smaller generator room. Cement roof, no steel beams. I mean, this looks like where you would have beds stored. And these grooves, again, the wood in the wall. Let me sit in there, we've seen that similar before. Holders for pipes and stands for equipment. Installs water. It's very yellow inside. Okay. So this is the main generator room. That makes sense. Here's the access, cable access to the floor for the main generator room that will produce electricity for the forts, for the cannons. The access panels. There's a little cable lights in here. Yeah, there's a little cable left. All the little crap people threw in there. And there's a note, there's no emergency exit here. So I would assume nobody's living here that would need to flee. There's also nothing for close protection. This was a workspace where you had the generators. It looks like it's deep underground. It looks fairly well reinforced.
Sometimes in these places it's a little hard to tell what's what, but there actually was accommodations for 4 soldiers.
Did also not see that. That's just off the main road. So the road and the generator is 150, 200 meters down that way. And I'm making my way parallel to the ocean away from the first 2 gun turrets in the museum. I am thinking, here being an open space, this is the 3rd hidden, covered up, filled up. Yes, I'm bitter. Yeah, here's the ring. Here's the turret ring of the last fort here. So they completely filled it up. It's in here. That's such a shame. I mean, you don't have to make a museum out of everything, but don't bury it. And here would be one of the entrances. Here's the other entrance. I'm surprised they didn't cover that up or destroy it in some way. Did I sound bitter? There's no way this is... Holy shit, it's open. They're covered up and the door's open. Holy shit. I did not believe the door was open. I thought they would have covered that up for sure. Some on the donkey. They covered up the pit, but the bunker's still open. Holy shit. Yeah, here's the engine room that you probably can't see for lack of lighting. And here is the room with the yellow walls. And there is a shooting port here also.
I will never stop finding it slightly amusing that there are several gun pits in close defensive positions facing into the actual gun ring. I will maintain that if enemy soldiers have made it all the way to the inside of the fort, the number of problems you may be having are somewhat bigger than can be fixed here now.
So we got a little more light going on here. And it's still wet. Now there's a wind blowing in here. So both exits to the outside world is still open. That is very, very nice. I'm sorry this is a little dark, guys, but I guess I need to get myself some sponsors who can give me some flashlights. But yeah, this is leading into the gun pit that is covered. Doors locked, closed. Behind it is just dirt. No original writing on the walls anywhere. Still, I am quite glad that it's here. The doors are still here with a peephole. This is where
where the bedrooms would be. Again, it's very hard to see, I'm sorry. Still, I wanted to take you on this little side journey to show you. So there were 3 pits. I only think there was cannons installed in one of them. I'll have to just brush up on that when I get back home. But at least it's here. It exists, even if it's hidden underground for the most part. And it is not that wet that it cannot be visited. Very nice. Very nice. I found a little this would be the bedroom for the guards. And here's the firing port. And it's all there. It's actually all there. It's not moving, but it's all there. Hiding in the ground. That's a shame. Heavy doors. Alright. Nice big ass door. Oh, then there's the emergency exit. Can't be. So this is the same doors we came out of on the fort that had been turned into a museum. Again, this photo is taken from during Rommel's visit here, and one can say the German soldiers had definitely planned on staying here for a long time, since they put nice little rocks with flower beds outside the entrance to the cannon bunker. It's really great to have found all 3 gun pits, been through them. Wanted to go for a little walk through the museum, show you what they've done. It's nice that they take an effort. I don't need all the arrows telling me what direction to go. I like to figure that out on my own. But it would have been a great place to shoot part of the last movie I did, Iron Cross. But they never called me back. So we had to shoot at another Danish fort for the west wall, for the Atlantic Wall. We shot up at Bangsbo Fort, which is a great place, great people. We filmed up there for a few days. Could have done it here, but guess not. Guess they weren't interested. Oh well. Onwards and upwards to Norway, to the 2nd biggest gun installed during World War II. However, before I went on to Norway, I wanted to go down to the Heath and take a look at these 17-centimeter gun emplacements, see if there's any bunker graffiti, because I had that conversation in Poland. And also I would like to see the mount for the range finder that I really missed last time. Truly, it's fascinating to see how all these roads and paths still litter the landscape to and from the bunkers. I wanted to go back here because it is an extremely interesting area, and dominating the position is a huge, heavy, 2-meter thick walls reinforced observation bunker, on top of which was an 8-meter range distance finder that could control the 4 17-centimeter 1901 guns that had been encased in huge gun placements to either side. You had a great vantage point of the ocean to all sides, and to some degree of the sky, which was good because the whole area was littered with anti-aircraft cannons from 10 centimeter 88s and 2.2 centimeter flak, including a bunch of captured French weapons as well. Also, there were searchlights of different sizes, 150 to 200 millimeters, on this position as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any ground positions or versions of the 8-meter rangefinder, but I found some of the German 5-meter. However, there was one I found located picture on a battleship. If any of you have any pictures of an 8-meter German rangefinder in a ground position or a bunker, I know the museum, Jens, would very much like to have one. Inside, let's come in the back of the bunker. Of course, first thing you see is a close defense position. Don't see any mountings for a door. The red brick I'm a little confused about. It turns out the bricks were installed because while waiting for the steel armored doors to arrive, The bunker crews had to install wooden doors to keep warm and the wind out initially. Most of these bunkers did never have their steel doors installed.
These bricks look like they're not original. Have built up after, I am not sure why. This looks like post-war, but then again it could also have been at the time of the war. Just never seen it before, why they would do the doors in that way.
During a war, improvisation is a must.
These could have been bricked up after the war also, and then removed. Oh. Well, I didn't come this far to worry about getting wet or not. So what do we have here? We're doing this. Full of water. We have over established. I'll use another fire port. Now this is interesting because I don't know where this is leading to. This is all covered up from the outside. So there was another close defensive position outside that's been covered up by sand. That does make sense because there was no visible way of protecting the entrance from the outside. That was missing. So it's missing when it's been covered up. That explains it. Because once you're in the bunker, it's only defended by this one. It's all there. The pieces are all there. It's not moving, but it's there. Some air vents. Well, we've been here before. And not only can you see the ocean in its entirety, you can also see what your firing positions and flak positions are doing. And except for, obviously above you, you actually have a fairly good field of vision of the sky too. Things are getting a little corroded, and the stairs are a little crooked. Always remember when you do these walkthroughs just to be careful, because sometimes things are not as linear as they seem, not as sturdy as they seem, and sometimes they fall on you.
Literally the day after the invasion, German soldiers rolled their cannons into Hanstholm, put them on the hills overlooking the oceans. It was field pieces, field artillery, 88s, whatever they had. That was the original beginning of the fort.
Here you have another flak position where you see the indents for the munitions.
Directly underneath the flak position is a small 2-room ammunitions bunker that somebody tried to blow a hole into.
Once again, there's no close defensive position that I can see, but it could be covered up behind this. So we come inside. Obviously there's one for the entrance here. This is very much filled up by sand. That's not going to stop me. Alright, we'll have a look. This is obviously not built from the period. So somebody tried to blow something here, or they tried to hammer through the wall. So I'm getting to an identical room in here. On the other side, with the other hole. Oh, here's a bigger room with another access port. This is the emergency exit right here, filled with sand, as it should be. And then here's that other side. This must have been explosive. Must have been.
The rebar is shredded. I would think ammunition storage in some capacity here and here. Let's not brave the wind again. And the whole area have been surrounded by thousands and thousands of landmines, barbed wire, and anti-tank obstacles, some of which can still be seen protruding in the landscape. Some of the wooden buildings that were built here have been demolished and are now gone, including some of the bunkers that have been covered up. Also, some of them, the Danish military at various stages since have tried to destroy and blow up, and with munitions testing, but they're still here, just like in Poland. Such as here, we see what's left of one of the old ammunition bunkers.
Well, it is well exploded. And you see built the same way. I guess this is Baustanke 2, looking at 2 meter roof, 1.5 meters. Reinforced rebar. And you're looking at the roof beams in here that are protruding. Some of it came down in chunks. But I don't think that's going anywhere for any foreseeable future.
Except for the lacking camouflage nets that are no longer covering the walkways, the area still looks the same.
What I really like is to get out where things actually were and walk them. And even if they're a little demolished, it'll give me a better feel for what it was like to be a soldier here at the time. And we're walking the munition transportation roads here, where they would transport the munitions up and the soldiers would walk covered from the air. There would have been camouflage nets and so on. And there's so much more underground here and everywhere else the war happened that has been found and put on display. And that's what you need to go out and find. And I am proposing officially here now that we set up a world map to make note of where all these various World War I, World War II bunkers and positions are located, so we can find them. But these walkways in between the dunes, very nicely covered, come up here to, I believe, one of the artillery positions, if I'm not all that mistaken. See? Again, if there would probably have been a machine gun for close defense here that's been covered, or even closer. It's hard to tell. Certainly this one here, and the plate is missing. On that is in very good shape actually. And here, still pieces, a little bit of the rubber left from the gas seal. Beams, everything was very intact. Close defense position. And fortunately it hasn't been graffitied that bad. And yes, I do really detest when people, they do graffiti these monuments. Whether you like them or not, they're still a piece of history. And they are a hell of a construction project. So if you're coming here, I'm imagining, yes I am. Here is another close defensive position that's been covered up by the outside as I thought it would. So they tried to cover these, and that's what we cannot let happen. And that's why I'm here. I get sure they're documented very well, and I spoke of the graffiti too soon. But, this is where one of the cannons would have been, firing outwards over the ocean again. Bolted into the ground. Now I think these were 10 or 15
centimeter cannons. Not at all what we're going to see. We have the crawl space down here without multiple steps. There's only one step, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have gone in there. Now, of course, we need to dump the ammunition down these chutes, the hot brass. Cabling, communication. And come back in. It's very simple. And here for the gas seal for the inner. Obviously, firing position was not gas tight, airtight, under pressure in any way. It could not have been. But seriously, damn. Well, close fighting position. And yeah, this is another artillery bunker, I think. Nope. What is this? Besides wet. Ooh, here's a walkway that's been bricked off. Yes, I'm standing in water. So, I'm confused. Oh, butterfly. So, besides being full of water and dripping in my hair, there's a very lot of room here. What is that? This is nailed to the wooden peg. And here would be the close defensive port, would have been bolted to here, but this is interesting. There's an air pipe. I think in one of the movies that I did, the term good bunker air was used. That is very reflective of what's in here. Damn it. One pipe. One door. Well, it looked like attachments for beds, so I buy that. But there were attachments for beds pretty much everywhere in these places, because troops who sleep somewhere. This I don't know. Well, it comes out of the wall. And so it could have been to the stove, I suppose. There could have been a bunker oven here. It's possible. Although it does seem like a really small pipe for that. That's been bricked off in there. Don't like when you hide stuff from me. Alright. Next time, we'll bring a mallet. Oh, did I say that out loud? Oopsies.
This is exactly the same type of firing position that we were just in, except here the close defense position is not covered up by sand, and here you would have steps up to a little Tobruk, a machine gun that was sitting up there. Firing position, side. We always talk about how much graffiti annoys me. At least here we have some of the original writing on the wall. Hoffe, wen ich wirklich will, du ist der kurzen Weg zum Ziel. I really hope you know the shortest way to victory. I'm sure we can repurpose that. And here again you have the bolts that would hold the cannon in place. Remembering how large the bolts holding the cupola in Poland was, I was very impressed. And here, damn it, the graffiti. Soldat sign, and I can't read the rest. Soldier something. That Really annoying when they do that. And they have a little more light in here in the main room because this is not covered up and light comes in here, which is very nice. So here's the other firing position. It's too bad there's not more writing on the wall that can be seen. Well, I guess that is what it is. This is where there'll be slides here that you would push the projectile into the room where the cannon was. There's another one over there for the other piece. A lot of these were two-piece munitions, where you would slide the projectile separately from the cannon.
The 10.5 centimeter anti-aircraft cannon was also known as a Flak 38. It was introduced as a competitor to the 88 centimeter Flak 18, which was superb. In this role, it proved, however, to be too heavy for field use, and it had about the same similar performance as the 88, so therefore it was predominantly used in static mounts. It was also used extensively on battleships such as the Scharnhorst and the Deutschland, and even the Bismarck had 10.5s. After the war, the French was going to put 10.5 mounts on the Richelieu. The Flak 39 was an improved version which replaced the electrical gun laying system with a mechanical one. It was a built-up gun with a jacket and breech that weighed about 1.8 tons, and the gun fired a 10.5 centimeter or 4.1 inches of fixed ammunition. It had an effective ceiling about 10,300 meters, which was about 33,800 feet, at an 80-degree elevation.
There's some 6 of these.
Last time I was here, I was not out this far. This stretches quite a good way. And down here there's a little bit of low in the wind. Again, this runs very deep. I really wish I could get the drone in the sky for you guys, but it's very, very windy. These are the storms that the German troops had to contend with while stationed here, and that the Danes are contending with every autumn, summer, spring. And this is not a storm, it's just a bit of weather, but it is not flying weather.
However, as it is rather obvious to those of you who've been watching this episode that there's a whole bunch of drone shots, and I am a bit of an idiot. I let the drone fly. Here's a bit of a tip. When it's too windy, don't fly your damn drone. When it loses connection with you, it'll shoot up 100 feet, and it flew away. And it landed somewhere. I landed it. If you see it out by Hanstholm, give me a shout.
Here in Denmark, across from Møvik, the fort over there, with similar armament pointing in this direction. In Hanstholm, there's a few things I didn't get to shoot or see or explore the first time I was here many years ago. And I felt we had to come back, not only because this is where it all started, but also because yesterday I received some very distressing news from a Danish military buddy of mine that the Danish government had given permission for 300 more bunkers from the war to be destroyed. And I've seen that a lot lately, especially in Germany, where they are with a vengeance trying to destroy, rename and rewrite every city, every fort, every research facility that even existed near the wartime. Just destroy it. We see it in America, where you're destroying historical monuments. And the problem with destroying history, nothing to do with politics whatsoever. You destroy history, makes it easier to rewrite it later. And certainly history has been rewritten, misrepresented, misinterpreted, and forgotten. And for the next generations, if we keep destroying monuments, even if they are negative and related to horrible and horrific events, they need to be preserved so they are actual physical reminders of a time gone by. And although I'm pretty sure the bunkers scheduled for demolition are not here, well, let's get them on camera just in case.
I'll tell you, anywhere you have to go on a ship, that makes it so much cooler. But it's really appropriate that we are taking a ship to go see the largest naval cannon ever installed on a shore battery during World War II. And I wonder how the food is here.